Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Teams live stream. Pleasure to have you joining me as always. And of course, we'll be getting into those teams as they drop in around about half an hour's time, thereabouts. First and foremost, though, let us have a look at the chat because I think some comments and questions are coming in. Let me just get rid of this sliding banner. There we go, done, because we are streaming. Of course, we have front of the pack, number one ticket holder, of course, Adam. How are you, buddy? Hope you're going well. And likewise as well, your partner, hopefully she is recovering nicely with her, was it broken ankle? Which sounds pretty gnarly, mate, but hopefully she is all good. Likewise, CJ, thanks for joining us, mate. You ask, first question off the top. Hey, Demo, who would you bring in out of Fish or Sexton? It's a very, very good question. Sexton's probably going to give you, an extra 100 and... How much is... Actually, let me just bring it up on screen. So you can check out my team as well. But I imagine Sexton, at the very least, is going to give you around about 100k more. So, if you, I guess, need some extra cash in order to upgrade, makes sense to bring him in. This has kind of been the big question in our Discord, of course, which, of course, I will put the link to our Discord if you haven't yet joined in the comment section, so you can do so. But yeah, has been the hot topic this week. Do you bring in Fish? Do you bypass him? Especially considering that he does have the bye coming up next round as well. So kind of makes sense if you haven't got him. The longer you wait, the more risk that he is to bring into your team. I am conscious, of course, once McKercher returns, he's going to have a little bit of a dent in his scoring output. Sheasel did play back sort of in the second half on the weekend after sort of running through the middle and pushing forward. But yeah, I think Sexton, to go for a cut price option, I think there's less risk with Sexton considering he is cheaper. Whereas with Fisher, if you didn't get him last week, you're kind of only going to make potentially around about 40k at minimum. So, yeah, I think Sexton of those two. Long answer short. But, yeah, we just don't know if Fish is going to be an actual keeper at this stage. I don't think he actually will be. I got him in last week as a bit of a flyer. He's probably going to make me around about 100k, which is nice. But if you're jumping on him now, you're kind of losing that bit of extra appeal when it comes to the money side of things. So... hopefully that does make sense. So I'm just trying to grab the link here so I don't forget. There we go. Join our Discord. So we'll see that popping up in the comment section here. But yeah, hopefully that does make sense, CJ. I'm just having a quick look in the back end. So Fish is worth 443. Sexton is worth 277. So what, 170 odd K difference, which is a fair amount. So I'd go for Sexton over LeFish, if it were me. Sammy, afternoon to you also. You've said opinions on these trades. McKercher, Graham, if not named, and Jones, that Darcy Jones, of course, to Martin, Richards, and good old Frazier, or Frazier. Frazier has left the building. I would say if you've held McKercher now, I probably would have got rid of McKercher last week, personally, but if you held him now, I think there's merit to hold him. But again, we probably don't know if he's going to be returning definitively after the round 12 bye for North. So I'd only do it if it's affording you to bring in a primo, which in this case looks as though it is in Martin against Richmond, who should have a favourable matchup. Graham, I'm pretty much set on getting rid of. I got rid of him, last week, or the week before last week. Richards, I think, is a must-have rookie. That being, of course, Joe Richards from the Pies. Frazier, I'm a little bit worried about still because depending on when teams are announced, of course. Actually, sorry for the Bulldogs because their teams are already announced. Johannesson's not back in the team as yet, and he was out injured, so I don't know what the injury was. I know he played with Johannesson in his first game, but there's just the worry there with Ed Richards in the midfield. If Libba does return, which I think they're saying around about 3 weeks potentially, could be longer though. Once Libba returns, Wouldn't surprise me to see Ed Richards go back into defence, and then with Johannesson coming back in eventually as well. Sorry, let me just adjust this screen. There we go. With Johannesson to return as well, that's two mouths to feed in defence, and it means that someone's going to have to make way, which I do think could be Fraser. So it does worry me a smidge, I will say that. I'm much more of a fan of going for a McAuliffe, who's a little bit more expensive, but will have really good job security, you'd think, given the Richmond's injuries, especially. I think they're down to two listed players in the VFL, like Richmond listed players in the VFL. That's how bad their injuries are. So McAuliffe will keep his spot. It actually looked alright on the weekend as well. So McAuliffe, I think I'd choose him over Fraser, but obviously a bit more expensive. But if you want to take a little bit of a flyer, yeah, go for it, I guess. But yeah, don't mind those trades in short. Your boy Huss, hey y'all, got 500 to 550k for a defender forward. Please help for suggestions. Alrighty, let me bring up my team. Let me just log in first and foremost. Properly, I'll have to do it in Google Chrome in order to show my team, because that's just the way that StreamYard operates. There's not many people on tonight. I don't know what the go is. I might have to put another tweet out there. Or did I tweet the wrong link? Maybe. Let me have a quick look. Let me know if you're tuning in, if you clicked one of our links on socials, or if you've just found us directly on YouTube. Because, yeah, there's a bit of a low number at the moment. I know there's other people streaming as well, obviously, the Centre Bounce and whatnot, but usually it's a bit more than this. So, interesting times. All right, let me just log in the back end, and that should be working. Let's present. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Huss. So you found me directly on YouTube. Let us know if you clicked the social link, because I'm afraid that I potentially put out the wrong link, which would have been interesting. Alrighty, share screen. Alrighty, so you should be able to see my team here. So let's go through players in that bracket for you, your boy Huss. Where are we? There's a few options in defence at the very least. So, where are we? So defender or forward. We'll start with defence first, and we'll sort this. Actually, we'll keep the prices as is, because we'll do it by average. So 550 was the cap, wasn't it? I don't mind Wangan and Miller as a bit of a flyer. Don't mind Maxi Holmes. Hayden Young, I don't mind either. That's probably it in defence. In the forward line, Rankin would have been one, but he's out because he's injured, obviously. No, and there's even less options in the forward line. There's obviously Fisher, who, again, I'm not confident is going to be a keeper, but will at least make a little bit of bank and score nicely, you'd think, still with McCurch out of the team. And she's all kind of been swung between defence and midfield. And that's virtually it. There's like no one in the forward line, apart from the top liners, Zorko, Jackson. Actually, Jackson, if you haven't got Jackson, I wouldn't mind going for him now. What's his break even? I know Darcy's coming back this week, but with a break even of 45, he's most likely going to go up in price. And I'm banking on Darcy getting injured again. Like, the bloke needs to play in the VFL and just get some fitness up. He's built like a suburban footballer. So yeah, those are probably my options, your boy. You're just sort of outside the range of grabbing like a Houston or someone like that. So yeah, don't know if that's going to help you too much there. Oh, there you go, your boy Huss. He said you've started Jackson, so that's good. No stress, mate. And you've... Oh, sorry. Where are we? Holmes pick. Yeah, don't mind that. Bit of a... I think he's in 7% of teams or thereabouts, so a bit of a pod. But yeah, hopefully that helped give you a little bit of guidance there. What's bloody Twitter's going off in the back end? Let me just click this link and make sure that it goes to the right thing. Yeah, it does. Just not many people on. Interesting. I'll retweet it again. Next up we have Double Dummy. Thanks for joining us, mate, as always. Call me John West, as I might be rejecting that fish. Yeah, no, he's not. I don't think he's a must-have, the old fish. Especially given now he's already gone up close to 60k. So the appeal there, at the very least, I think the safety net was the fact that he was going to make money last week. This week, even less so. He's going to make what could potentially make 30 to 40k. But outside of that, if he regresses again, could be a little bit of a kick in the anus. But yeah, totally up to you. I think he'll be all right until McKercher returns, provided that Sheasel doesn't go back to picking it up in defense full time. Getting Sexy and a rookie. Yep. Yeah, I'd prefer, if you don't have Sexton, I'd be going for him over Fisher personally. And of course, as you can see there, ladies and gents, if you haven't joined our Discord, feel free to do so. Just have a look in the comment section here, the live chat. Click on that link, discord.gg/letters and numbers, and it'll prompt you to sign up. Free to do so, of course. It is our own little platform of Twitter X, or Big Footy. Go in there, chat to myself and Liam and everyone else in the community, trade discussion, VCC discussions, strategy, everything else. So go and check that out and join the thriving community, of which it is very, very thriving. So we're quite thankful, and a lot of helpful people in there as well. A lot of banter as well, which is always good fun. CJ, no stress at all, mate. Harry Lindsay, Fish or Houston? I'll be going for Houston 100% over the Fish. I don't really like Cheese. Thank you, Legend, for joining us again. The man with the driving gloves, as we'll say. And you haven't let us know as well. Is that you in the actual black suit there with the gloves? Or are you the gangster there throwing up the in the grey suit on the left-hand side of that photo? You've said, mate, we have the 3 big guns going at the moment. Wow, we're getting spoiled. Who's the other one? Is that the reason why that we have numbers down? Which is totally fine. Spread the love, of course. Let me jump back across and see who is streaming. I know Being a Carol as well. If you are not following Being a Carol, make sure to give him a follow as well, because he did it actually. He was live as of 25 minutes ago, or he's put up a new video. It was a bit of a preview. But check him out, John O'Carroll, big supporter of ours, as he is with everyone as well. So check him out. Of course, it's the big DR streaming at the moment as well. So totally fine with numbers being down here, and totally makes sense. Your boy Huss found directly via YouTube. No stress, just YouTube. I'm not a Twitter Xer. I totally understand that. Don't have Twitter. There's a few people that don't have Twitter. Global, how are you, buddy? Hope you're well. Adam, update on your missus. Is waiting for results on ultrasound on the ankle. Thank you for your thoughts, but Legend. Also, the gun show, Kerno, in next week for me, I think. Man, love, exactly right. There he is behind me there, as you can see. Let me move out of the way. There he is. That boy right there. Absolute gun. But yeah, I'm actually considering him as well, potentially as a bit of an in my forward line, which prompts me to go back to the main screen so you can check out my team. Let me just zoom out as well so you can see it a bit better. Your boy Harstarter Jackson, yes, still on the team. Appreciate the input. No stress, mate. Tiberius Romulus. That sounds like some sort of god. Evening, mate. Now that Darcy Jones is missing the 6 to 8, would you still plan to keep to use as a loop, or would you bite the bullet and trade him? Very, very, very good question. Covered this in my team talk, and that just in terms of what I'm doing personally. As you can see, he's still in my team. He's on the bench there. What I'm looking to do with the setup now is I've got Darcy on my bench as a bit of a loophole option. Emergency on him, just because I do think he's going to have a bit of a down game. Sydney are quite restrictive with opposition tall forwards, so I'm totally expecting him to have a bit of a down game after a couple of nice games back to back. If that's the case, I will keep things as is, and potentially play a Revel or Richards. Probably a Richards, considering he is a forward only. And then Hugo Garcia from the Saints, I have the option as well to potentially swing a bit of DPP and play Hugo instead of Revel. But I think I'll back in Revel. Absolute gun. If you haven't got him and you're looking for a rookie outside of Joe Richards, I'd be considering him. I know he's gone up in price already, and he's priced at 160k, but he will stick around in the Lions team. Very, very impressive, smooth mover, reads the play so well, and an elite user of the footy, which is even better. So I do like him. But yes, back to your question. I'm using Darcy Jones, at least for this week, as that loophole option. Let's have a look next week. Depends, of course, when... of course, we go into the buys next week, and the Giants aren't playing first up. Round 13. So I think from here on out, we don't have to worry about it. I mean, we're gonna have guys on the bye not playing anyway. So in terms of loophole options, if you need to make a bit of cash in terms of trading him down to someone, to say a McAuliffe, if you're swinging DPPs, or a Revel or a Richards, or a Frazier, for example, I can see merit 100% because he's going to be out for ages. But for the short term, I'm just going to keep Jones, especially this week. I probably could have used him as a bit of a switcheroo, but it wouldn't have allowed me to get Butters into my team. So next week, I think I'll probably punt Jones, potentially, to bring in a Livingston, which will allow me to play. Actually, Port have the bye. Actually, no, they're playing round 12, aren't they, Port? Yep. So provided Sweet's still on the team next week, which hopefully he is, I will trade Jones down to Livingston to give me about 80k. Livingston, of course, that forward ruck DPP rookie who's not playing. And then I'll swing Jackson forward and play Sweet in R2. But yeah, long answer short, yeah, I don't mind trading Darcy Jones to another rookie. But this week provides a little bit of help with that loophole. Don't really like cheese. Yeah, I got the limo gloves on. Mate, what a gangster. What a gangster. Love it, man. Love it. You actually look like a footballer. I don't know who, but you come to mind as a bit of a wing guard potentially there, from that small photo that we've got. A bit of style about you. Bogues X, no question, Damo. Just here to say best of luck this week for your SuperCoach. Hope you're well outside of the virtual game also. Thank you, Bogues, mate. You're an absolute gun. And for the kind words outside of SuperCoach as well. Yep, all going well. I'm actually, Liam and I haven't announced it as yet, but I'm actually going to the US as of the 31st of May for a couple of weeks for a job. Very spoiled, of course, with a crew that I worked with early 2023 when I went to India for the India-Australia Test Series. So there are a couple of comedians. You might have heard of them. They're called the Grade Cricketer. They're on YouTube. Massive, massive following. Funny, funny bastards they are. Both professionally and in person, naturally. So make sure to check them out. But I'll be traveling with them for a couple of weeks back on the 15th of June. So obviously is going to impact our weekly shows. Liam is hopeful to do maybe potentially a couple of lives across both of those weeks. So yeah, we'll see if we can progress. Otherwise, considering it is over the buys, less games for round, not so much round 12, but round 13, 14, actually round 14 and 15 will be the reduced rounds, won't they, really? But we'll see how we go. But yeah, Liam's hopeful of doing potentially a couple of lives through here, through StreamYard, through YouTube. So they won't be traditional episodes, I don't think. I'll have to have a chat with Liam and see what capacity he has. But considering I am the tech head and I am the one who does all the editing and stuff, and I won't be on hand because I will be filming and editing for the Great Cricketer Boys over in the US. Due to time differences and everything else, I just won't be able to patch in for a show. But yeah, hopefully we'll be able to update everyone on Twitter and everything else as to my moves. So there won't be, in my case anyway, there won't be any team talks for me over the next couple of weeks, unfortunately. But I will be back on the 15th, as I said, on June 15th, and will be regular programming resuming upon then. Double Dummy, are they friends of Colo? No, I think Colo and I forget the other guy's name. They do their own podcast, but no, they go by, it's Ian Higgins and Sam Perry, so Pez and Higgos. They do know Colo, and yeah, I guess they're direct competition, I guess. But check him out on YouTube. Funny stuff. If you're a fan of cricket, I'm not a complete cricket nuffy, but I love the BBL, everything else, and I reckon probably I'd say like 75% of what they're talking about is just gags, and 25% is like pure cricket. So it's a light-hearted sort of look on cricket. But yeah, to be traveling with those boys, I'm very, very blessed, especially considering I was in the US in October for my honeymoon with my wife, and had an absolute blast. And we are heading to, this is of course for the Cricket World Cup this time around. We're working there covering that, which is funnily enough, I know half is in the US, half is in the West Indies. Very, very strange. I think they're trying to break into the US market. But yeah, the two boys as well, the TGC boys, they actually are performing on Broadway in New York. So I am absolutely stoked to be going back to New York. It is my favorite city, hands down. I've been to Europe and I've been to a few other places in Asia as well, but New York is, outside of Australia, my hands down favorite city ever. And you probably hear that from everyone that goes to New York. It's just incredible. Unless, of course, you're not a city slicker like myself, and you're kind of a bit over the hustle and bustle. But no, to answer your question, Double Dummy, they do know Colo, but I think what's theirs called? The last shout or the last call or something like that. But they do know them. Steve, thanks for joining us, mate. I bloody love TGC. Great as shit talk about. Exactly right. They're funny, funny bastards. So yeah, he's they produce some quality stuff. Bogues, wow, sounds unreal, mate. Enjoy your time. Thank you, mate. But yeah, apologies that I'm unable to continue on with the SuperCoach content, at least for those 2 weeks. It's easy for me as well. I've said this in the past where production, I've actually got my own production business, and that's part of the reason why I'm heading away with the TGC boys, because they've hired me as a contractor to help them out with their content and their Broadway show that they're doing over there in New York. But it's easy for me to do the SuperCoach content myself and do these streams and stuff because, I don't traditionally work a 9 to 5. I obviously make my own hours and it's dependent upon workload and whatever. But with Liam, it's a little bit harder as well. Obviously works 9 to 5. Actually works, I think, 8 till 5 or 8 till 4:30 or something. But obviously harder for him to find time in his schedule outside of his working day, outside of obviously all the other stuff with his wife and everything else. And, it's a bit harder for him to jump on. So, I'm pretty blessed to be in the position I am. But, we'll see how we go. And I'm going to show Liam the ropes in terms of StreamYard and everything. So, yeah, as I said, it probably won't be a traditional show where it's, cut together and premiered on YouTube. It will be a live stream like this where he might open up the floor to all of you good folk to jump on and have a bit of a yarn with him. Might get a guest potentially as well. So we'll see how things go. Don't worry, Dracos. Sorry, I just wanted to get that out, mate, because we haven't announced it as yet. But I will work through the questions now and comments. Apologies. Let me get through. Where is it? I've lost it. Here we go. But thank you, Bogues, for your kind words. But it's just a bit of a segue. I thought I'd mention that before I forget, because we will announce it obviously in next week's show. But yeah, just if you guys had any comments and questions as well as to what you think Liam could do, keeping in mind as well that he doesn't have the sort of technical editing skill set to piece things together. So do you think a live stream would be handy to do, or is there something else that you would like to see across the next couple of weeks, from the 31st of May at least, when I'm gone, until the 15th of June? Let us know. Sam, though, what do you think the average team value is at the moment? Obviously, active teams. Well, let's have a quick squeeze, because I haven't really had much of a look at this. I've been quite insular, apart from obviously looking at what trades and people are doing. I haven't really been paying attention to the team value, which is obviously a little bit of an insight into how people are tracking in terms of upgrading their teams. Higher the value, obviously, the better it is, which indicates getting in more primos loosely. Just having a squeeze through here, as you can see, under the team value column. It looks as though, at quick glance, there's a lot of 13,800,000 odds near the top end, and it kind of fluctuates. I would say 13,700,000. Maybe, yeah, there's quite a few that are like, even ranked 41 DD here, 13,221, that's very, very low. 13.1, Skits Fitz, that's our man actually, seeing if he's joining us on the stream tonight. That's a very, very low number. I would say, at a guess, see, as you go down the ranks, there's quite a few between 3.2 to 3.7. So it might even be 3.6 potentially. I'm just looking at the numbers as to what is cropping up the most to try and work out an average. Yeah, it might be a 3.6 potentially looking at all that. Which my team, how do I rank? 3.5. So yeah, maybe it's a bit lower. I have no idea. I think my team's tracking quite well in terms of team value. So I wouldn't say mine's the benchmark, but yeah, I think around about 3.5, 3.6 maybe is probably when we're talking about the top end. But yeah, it's a bit hard to guesstimate, mate. Double dummy, thoughts on Ed Richards as a bit of a pod defender, break even to 16 and maybe a good role now. Yeah, has a good role now, obviously with Libba out of the team, but I just wonder if that'll change when Libba returns. I've heard 2 weeks, 3 weeks when he might return. Does that mean that Ed Richards gets thrown back? I don't know, but I think Ed ended up playing in the midfield in Libba's last game when he got concussed, if memory serves. So don't mind Ed Richards, but I just don't think he's going to be a keeper. That's the big thing with me that I always go back to is look at guys and I'm like, are they going to be a keeper? If not, don't get them in. I got Fisher in, obviously, as well, on the off chance that maybe he can be a keeper. The forward line's a bit different because it's so wide open apart from, obviously Heaney, Flanders, Zorko, Jackson to an extent. But with Ed Richards as a defender, I don't see him being a top 6 defender from here on out. You can't read too much into the game against Richmond either. They concede bog points to midfielders. So I think probably if he can stay in the midfield, like what he scored against the Giants is probably, between, I reckon he can push his average up to around about 105, which even then, could he be, he could be a top 6 potentially. Maybe that's overshooting things a bit. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, but not for me, I don't think, dummy. If you're after a pod, I'd look at him because he's in 1.3% of teams now, but yeah. Let's continue on. I've lost my bloody pointing, and here it is. Yes, I addressed that. Yeah, they are loose friends with Colo. Dracos looking to move either Wilson or Darcy Jackson. Who am I betting on? Keep Jackson, mate. He will be... Wilson or Darcy Jackson? I think you mean Luke Jackson? Or are you talking about Darcy Wilson? Or Darcy Jones? Let us know who you mean, mate, because there could be a multitude of different players there. Darcy Jackson. Do you mean Luke Jackson, Darcy Jones, or Darcy Wilson? I've moved on Wilson this week. I think he's probably hit his peak in terms of the amount of money that he can make us. If you're talking about Luke Jackson, I wouldn't be getting rid of him. He's going to be a keeper in F6 because I am anticipating Luke Darcy getting injured yet again. And he's already averaging Luke Jackson around about that mark to be a top 6 forward. Cheesy, hey mate, think of dropping Shees. Ooh, as he's highly owned in the top 1%, currently 1,600. Want to get a pod in that can possibly ruin my season. Is it worth it or just stay with the crowd? Thinking Treloar. I don't mind that as a bit of you've gone from, a really highly owned player to a Treloar who's scoring quite well and hasn't really been, unlike Ed Richards, Treloar, his role won't change. He's been scoring well for most of the season, even with Libba in the team. And when Libba's gone out of the team, he scored quite well as well. So I don't mind Treloar as a bit of a smoky, but when we're talking about true value, I'd be going for, and I know, the appeal there is obviously Treloar being a pod, but if that backfires, if he gets injured, you cook yourself massively. But I think of all the guys that you've spoken about, or we could speak about, that you've tabled there with Treloar, I don't mind him. When we're talking about value, though, I'd be going for this boy right here, Matty Rowell, if you haven't got him. 566.5k. Yes, he had a couple of off weeks when he was tagged. Every other single week, though, has been incredible. 155, 137, 129, 135, 126, 136. Had a bit of a downer against the Dogs, but all those scores there, captaincy-worthy scores, high ceiling scores. And if his floor was 99, you'd take that every single day of the week. And of course, on the weekend, back to form 128. So of any guys that I don't have, that I wish I had in my team, it'd be Matty Rowell. I'd prefer to save. So he's 566 compared to Treloar, who's 70k more expensive Treloar than Rowell. I'd be going for Rowell, 100%, mate. If you're going to drop anyone, I'd be going from Shees to a Rowell. But I think Shees was going to be all right. I saw on the weekend he was switched between midfield, in and into defence, and salvaged that score with a nice 117. People have started to drop off progressively over the past couple of weeks. But I do think if you're going to trade him, do it after his do it after his bye. The thing is, he's got a weird bye. He's got the round 12 bye. There's no real benefit in trading him next week when he's on the bye, because the player you trade in is going to have a bye coming up. So if you're going to trade Shees, I'd be doing it after his bye to someone ideally that's had a bye in round 12, or if you can wait a little bit longer, that's had a bye in round 13, just to sort of give you that extra player. But yeah, in short, I would say no. If you've got a Stewart, like I do, I'm actually thinking about trading Stewart when he's on his bye to Houston, because that'll mean that I'll have Houston play the rest of the buys after he's had his bye, and it'll give me an extra player on that week that Stewart's out and for the remainder of the buys. Don't mind the thinking though, Cheese, thinking outside the box. Bogues, thank you again, mate. Will be very, very enjoyable. Steve, yes, as you said, yeah, they're incredible. Double Jeff Lemon, I think if you get a chance, chat footy with Colo. He is a tragic. Let me have a quick squeeze on YouTube, because I think you're talking about Colo that has his own podcast, if I'm correct. Is that right, Double? I'll see if I can find it on another tab. The Final Word. Yeah, you're talking about Adam Collins and Jeff Lemon. They've got the podcast, The Final Word. So, yeah, they're kind of the competitors, I guess, to TGC. Different style. They're not as piss takery as the boys from TGC, but different styles, different strokes for different blokes. Adam, everything pushing for the US market, F1s, cricket, yeah, 100%. Well, it's such a big, country, and where all the money is can be made, so makes sense. Adam, you're referring to Dracos there, yep, 100%. Liam, I'll annoy the man, don't you worry, thank you. Please do. Jonas, knock knock, who's there? Ding, ding who? Ding ding, dinner for two, 100%. Teams are out, of course. Let us get into it. Apologies, ladies and gents. Let's jump across to our teams. Oh, yeah, Wieners is in. Thank the Lord. Pies have made 5 changes. Interesting. Alrighty, let's go through them bit by bit. Let me just shut my door because your wife is home. And I don't want to annoy her. So, first up we have the Walyalup. Oh, of course, I'm going to struggle with these names again. So, Freo up against Collingwood. Sean Darcy and Corey Wagner in. Oh, Corey Wagner. He's back. Frederick and Voss out for the Pies. Charlie Dean comes in. McCreary, Myercheck, Ed Allen, and Will Parker. Quite a few, debutants there with Parker and Allen. Finlay McRae out omitted, the poor bloke. Hoskinelli injured. DeGoey injured. Reef McGuinness injured. And Markov is out through personal reasons. Interesting there with Charlie Dean as well. If you are after someone in defence, don't know if you'd be able to go for him though, because Markov would be back, you'd think, next week. So scratch that. North Melbourne up against Yatapulti. Port Adelaide, of course. For North, Archer comes in. Out goes Bergman. For Port, Jordan Sweet, he is back. Should have been back last week. Connor Rosie is making his return, and Lockie Jones as well. Out goes Dixon managed, Vicentini omitted, and Josh Sin injured. For Carlton up against Gold Coast, we have Amsard. He's back, thank the Lord, as a baggers man. Lockie Cowan and Lockie Fogarty, another big in as well. Corey Durden omitted. Yep, no surprise there. Marchbank managed. Okay. And Pitnet injured as well. There we go. For Gold Coast, in comes Walter, Witts, Holman, and Rogers. For those people that still have Rogers, should make a little bit more coin. Fiorini out omitted, Ned Moyle omitted, Davies omitted, and Sam Day omitted. For the Cats up against the Giants, we have for the Cats Hawkins, Duncan, DeConning, and Cameron in. Out goes Parfitt, Rowan, Guthrie, and Cam Guthrie injured again. Gee whiz. And O'Connor omitted. For the Giants, Leah makes his return, which is interesting. For those people that do need a bit of a rookie, I wouldn't be going for Charlie Dan, I'd be going for Leah. Toby McMullen, Ryan Angwin, and James Peatling return. Jack Buckley goes out injured. I want to know what the injury is that Buckley has, because Ali's come in off the back of that. Jacob Weir omitted, Connor Stone omitted, and Darcy Jones injured with that hamstring, of course, 6 to 8 weeks. For the Tigs, Liam Baker, Seth Campbell, and Samson Ryan in. Out goes Tyler Young, Mansell, and Coulthard. For the Dons, Ridley, Caddy, and Cox in. Saddis omitted, Shield omitted, and Harrison Jones suspended. Alrighty, and making his debut as well, Nate Caddy. Of course, as you can see there, McAuliffe is in. For those people that have him, Steely Green has kept his spot as well, so it might be a bit of a nice little downgrade next week, potentially. One to keep an eye on. For Hawthorn up against Brisbane, for the Sunday game, Sicily, Ward, Scrimshaw, Gunston, and McGuinness in, which is a little bit of a worry there. Scrimshaw and Sicily for the role of Ethan Phillips, who I'm anticipating goes out. So I would not be getting him this week, 100%. Out goes Watson, managed, and Jai Sarong omitted. So maybe he keeps his spot then with Sarong being omitted. No, I don't think he will, actually, because Giath's still there. For Brisbane, in comes Brandon Ryan. Of course, these are extended benches. Henry Smith, James Tunstall, Zach Bailey, and Dara Joyce. Out goes Hipwood through suspension, and Brain omitted, which is a bit... Don't know about that. He actually showed a fair bit when he came on as a sub. Anyway, Brandon Ryan and Henry Smith potentially playing their first games. Nam up against Uruk, aka Melbourne up against St Kilda. For Melbourne, Ed Langdon, Van Ruwen, Hunter, Tomlinson, Fullerton. Lever is injured, Ben Brown omitted. And for the Saints, we don't see the return of Hugo Garcia, unfortunately. But it does mean that we could use him as a bit of a loophole if need be. Yeah, if you need to, really. Anyway, who else is there? So yeah, Stocker, Burns, Higgins, and Ross, Philippou omitted. And for the last game of the round, Kuwana up against Woolwich Marawa. Of course, Adelaide up against West Coast. Borlacey, Burgess, Schoenberg, Strawn, and Berry in. Out goes Himmelberg and Rankin at the moment. And for West Coast, Yo is making his return. Andrew Gaff, Clay Hall, and Harry Edwards. Out goes Luke Edwards omitted. So Clay Hall may be making his debut. Yo comes back, straight back into the team in the engine room. For those people that kept him. Don't know if anyone has. Let us know in the comments section below. But, ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts on the teams? How you impacted, affected, everything else? Keen to hear. Dracos, sorry, you said meant trading Wilson or Sam Darcy to Luke Jackson. Okay. Have a look at your buy structure as well. It's probably a big thing to look at. I think there's merit to trade Wilson over Darcy, which is what I've done, because Darcy has a lower break even compared to Wilson. So yeah, I'd probably go Wilson over Darcy, but I'm looking to trade Darcy over the next week or two anyway as a bit of an upgrade. So yeah, look at your buy structure and kind of be guided by that. We can see merit for both. Tiberius Romulus, another question, sorry, not at all, mate. Who would you look to trade up this week, Wilson or Powell? I would be looking to use, again, look at your buy structure. Powell has the buy next week. So be guided by your buy structure first and foremost. You don't want to be left high and dry. So St Kilda, they're obviously playing next week. So different structure to Powell, who will be out next week with his buy. Have a look at that and let us know if it impacts you. If it doesn't impact you too much across either of their respective buys. When does St Kilda have their buy? They have it. Let's just have a quick squeeze. And the later ones. So they've got round 15. So you could potentially hold Wilson if you wanted to. Keep in mind though that he will probably start losing cash from here on out. But you could keep him, up until round 14, trade him round 15 for someone that's already played their bye, which would be handy. Whereas Powell has the bye next week, round 12. Double dummy, yes, sweet name. Vicentini out, yes, sweet. Lickley is on the bubble, of course. Don't know what Buckley's injury is. I just hate it now in team sheets where they're saying just injured and not stating what the actual injury is. So let's have a quick look. Did I miss it? Let's have a quick squeeze. Buckley. Oh, there you go. Calf. Out 2 to 3 weeks. Is that? Sorry. Is it Buckley we're looking at? Yeah, Jack Buckley, yeah. He's out with a calf for 2 to 3. Callum Brown. In terms of their tall guys, they've got quite a few injuries as well. Adam Kennedy indefinite. Yeah. I wouldn't mind a Leah. If you're at a pinch and you need a rookie, don't mind it. Double dummy. Adam Collins brought the rights to the test of Pakistan a few years ago. He's a mad keen Hawk fan. May have been part of the group who brought the Batmobile. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I remember that with Collins buying the rights. But yes, they do have the Final Word podcast. Let's just double up. Cheese, yeah, got me a Raul, Houston, and Noah Anderson type, so I might already have enough pod type players, but always looking for that pod. Love the chaos, honestly. Geez, you're a glutton for punishment, mate. Sadism and masochism type stuff. You'd be into bondage, for the sounds of it. Cheese. Don't know if I like the anxiety and pain as much as you. Sanders and Roberts subs tonight. Sanders? I didn't think he was playing. Let's go back to here. Interesting. Poor Sanders, honestly. Yeah, and if you got Roberts, punt him. He's going to be dropping even more in cash at a crazy rate. Footy Refined, thanks for joining us, mate. I think you're a newbie here. I haven't spotted you in the chat. I got 4 on the bench, 2 little players. I assume you're referring to the buys there. Another follow-up message. I think I have to keep Rankin after getting him last week. Scared about running out of trades at 17 with 5 premos to go. Depends on the cover you've got, mate. It's really a bad time to get injuries as well because heading into the buys, obviously, Rankin just adds another red dot to your team with a non-playing player. So if you're going to be down over majority of the buys because you're holding Rankin, I'd be punting Rankin personally, even though it does, yes, burn another trade. He's at a nice price point, though, where you can, potentially get him up to Zorko. You could potentially get him to a Rail, as I spoke of before, in a virtual straight swap. You could be going for, who else is there? Because what's he priced at? 550 on, is he? 552, yeah. So you could be going down to a Fisher potentially. At least that way, excuse me, I'm yawning. At least that way you'd make 100k up front, and you could put that towards upgrading elsewhere. So that wouldn't be a bad move, I reckon. Going to a Fish via Rankin, mate. Sam, could Yo be a trade instead of Martin? Nope. I know there's re-injury risk, but he treated me so well. Nah, don't go for him, mate. With an injury comes the likelihood of another injury with a guy as injury-prone as him. Wouldn't be doing that. Even if you are a glutton for punishment, like I don't really like Cheese said. Don't know if you know Crazy Frogs, but I try to play a lot like him Yeah, it's a good theory as well. If you're at the top end, going for pods is the really the only way to make up ground, unless you're kind of banking on other wholly owned players that you may not have getting injured for you to make up ground. So yeah, that's being proactive more than anything. So don't mind it at all. Jack Blucher, hey mate, had two trade options. Graham and Closey out for Houston and Sexton. That's very nice trades. Or take the cash and bank Richards instead. I think in your case, Richards and Sexton are virtually one and the same thing, except Sexton's going to give you greater output, probably make as much money as Richards, if not. We're talking about Joe Richards here from Collingwood, of course. He'll make you as much money, if not more, than Richards. So I'd 100% lock in Houston and Sexton. Love those trades, mate. Very, very nice. Also have McKercher on the bench and not sure how long to hold. Yeah, it's a tough one, mate. It's just guessing here. What was he named for in the injury list? It just says post-buy. So even they don't have a definitive timeline, I think they're obviously hoping for round 13. But if you've already held him for a week after last week, you only need to hold him for a couple more weeks to bring him back in. So, yeah. I mean, the luxury is, of course, he only has the first buy. So if he is out for round 13 and looks like he's going to be out for longer, you can trade him for someone that's already had their buy around 12. So then the player you're trading in is playing every single buy round from then on in. But yeah, that's a tough one. Dennis Buckley for GWS is out with the calf. Yep. Footy refined. I got Sexton, Pink, Clark, Sweet, but I am sweet for the first two buys with plenty of players to play. The last two are a horror. Yeah, I think they are for most, mate. How are you looking for around 14 and 15 buys? We'll give you a little bit of an insight in here. We'll go back to my team and show you the buy structure. So around 12, I'm pretty well set. As you can see here, I've got 3, 4, 5, 6 with Closey, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 with Sweet, because I plan to trade, at this stage anyway, trade Darcy Jones to Livingston, so then I can switch Jackson into the forward line and play Sweet. So I'm pretty well set there. So what was that, 21? Round 13, pretty good as well. Obviously, I think a lot of people will be, because Port and Freo only have the bye that week. And this is where it gets dicey. Around 14, of course. It's hard to sort of, when you look at this now and you're kind of like freaking out, keep in mind that by round 14, you've obviously got round 12 and round 13 to bring in guys that, especially round 13, if you can bring in guys into your team that have had the bye in round 12 to serve you well and give you an extra player in round 14 and 15, that's something to keep in mind as well. So I'd be looking to do that as well. I haven't really put too much thought into which guys I'm aiming to get in round 14, heading into round 14, that have already had their bye in round 12 and 13. I'll need to have a look into it, but obviously pre-trades, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not going to count Garcia. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. He'll be Livingston. I don't know if Darcy's going to be my team yet, but 17 pre-trade, so not too bad. If you're counting your players as it is at the moment, and you've got 15 players, and you're able to get in players that week via the 3 trades, of course, to then give you 15, 16, 17, 18. That's not too bad. The aim is always to try and get more than 18, because as you can see here, I'm counting Richards, I'm counting Revel, I'm counting all these guys, but by then, knock on wood, but as is always the case in some way, shape or form, there's a curveball that's thrown your way. Guys get suspended, guys get dropped, especially rookies, and so on and so forth. So even though now it looks like I've got 17, I may only have 15 that week. So always aim for more than 18 if you can. And even if you go into the week with, a full 18 and you've got, 20 players, at least it gives you an extra buffer of 2 extra players, that if someone puts an on-field stinker, you'll be able to, loop on potentially, if need be, if they're on the bench and it's overstacked in a certain line, or, if they're able to play on field, you'll have those other extra 2 players' scores, or at least 1, come on. So looking pretty Scheissenhausen there, and I think 15's just as bad, if not worse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so I'm looking all right for around 15 at the moment. So around 14 is really the one that's a bit of a worry for me at the moment. But keeping in mind, I don't think I'll have Closey. I don't think I'll have Darcy because I'll be upgrading these guys. Garcia, I'll have to sort of look to see if he gets extra games. Otherwise, I might need to punt him. Because coming out of the buys, ideally, probably around 16, I'd need to have a look at because I was originally looking at English into my team, who's got the buy in round 15. So I'd need to do it after the buys have passed. Or I go for a Marshall, which again, he has around 15 buy as well. So yeah, but the goal is to, like at the moment, we might undo changes. We will go back to here. So at full strength, as you can see here, I only have 1, 2 sort of spots to fill at the moment when we're talking about genuine rookies. Fisher could be one potentially to fill, and then the Stewart as well, who I'm planning to do, as a bit of a sideways. Actually, I didn't count him. So he's got the buy in round 14. So let's have a look back at 14, which was my shittest round. And I've only got 17. I'll be trading Stewart to Houston at this stage. So that'll give me 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So yeah, looking all right at the moment, pre-trades. So let us know how you're looking, but Liam and I, we will be covering that off in next week's video. And hopefully give you a little bit of guidance. But in short, that was kind of my thoughts around the buys. Jack Blucher, also have McKercher on the bench. Not sure how long to hold. I spoke about that. Up in the air, Axel Hannon, thanks for joining us, mate. Fraser or Richards? Go for Richards, 100%. Should have better job security with the likes of DeGoey, Will Hoskin-Elliott, and Jamie Elliott being out for a little while. His role is much needed as a small forward, so he should get ample opportunity to score well and make us some nice cash. Whereas Fraser, I think, could be thrown around the wing, defence, but in defence, there's still Libba to return, which could push back Ed Richards in defence, Johannesson, and so on and so forth as well. So I'm not as confident with Fraser as I am with Richards. Cheesy, I paid up for Sexton last week over the 102k rookies. My mate wants him this week. Do you think it's too late, or should he just go with Richards type? It does ruin his trade. If it ruins his trade cadence, go for Richards. But if you're having to play Richards on field, I can see merit in going for Sexton instead, who should bust out a better score than Richards. But yeah, I think I always look longer term. If it messes with the trade cadence, I'd be going for Richards in short. But I do think when we're talking about Richards and Sexton as cash cows, I do think that Sexton should be able to make as much cash as Richards, loosely, thereabouts. Iconic, thanks for joining, mate. Hey, with Phillips being questionable as a downgrade option next week, do you think there will be other defender viable options for downgrading next week? Maybe go early on Reed, even if not named. You're talking about Zach Reed? I wouldn't be going early on Reed as yet. As you can see, he's not playing this week. Probably will play at some stage, but we don't know when. That's the thing. But yeah, of any of the defensive cash cows, there's Lee Kalia, who, again, may only last 2 to 3 weeks, but might make you some nice cash, which we'll have a look at now, is Lee Kalia, because I was keen on him, actually, before he got dropped. He's got a negative 42 break even, with a score of 61. Will go up, projected 47.2k, so don't mind him, and it is projected, if you can average 61 over the next 3 weeks, will go up 100k. So yeah, it looks as though he's going to play for the next 2 weeks at the very least, potentially 3, going by Jack Buckley's injury timeline. But yeah, slim pickings in defence at the moment. Jack, I have Lohman and now Sexton as F5 and F6. Not bad. Would you start Darcy tonight or have him on the bench and use him as a loop? Yep, use him as a loop. I expect him to score low against the Swans, who give up minimum points to opposition key forwards. Thought he might struggle against the Suns. Lohman made me a lot of cash. Yeah, he has. If you've got him, well done to you. But yeah, I'd be looping Darcy. Fraser or Richards, and didn't catch your thoughts on Fisher. Sorry, I just answered your question above, mate, with regards to Fraser and Richards. But with Fisher, I think he comes with a bit more risk now. I'll bring him up on screen for those people that have joined us late. In short, if you're comparing guys to go for, I'd be going for Sexton over Fisher. Fisher is 170k more expensive than Sexton, so I'd be banking that cash difference and going for Sexton, who probably should score around about what Fisher is anyway in his current role. Fisher has a break-even of 0, yes. Projected change of 46.6k with West Coast coming up. But yeah, the big thing here is that he's already made the cash, or bulk of his cash last weekend, almost making 60k. Excuse me. I need a coffee. Almost making 60k, whereas this stage, bit of a risk. Obviously, McKercher will return. We don't know with Sheasel if he's going to go back to picking it up primarily in defence, or if he's going to have that split role like he has been. If he continues to split role and McKercher's out for a little while, Fish could potentially go into top F6 calculations, but I don't think he will, personally. I think I'm just jumping on him now because he's a nice sort of gap to bridge between me reaching for a Zorko or the like. So yeah, but I don't mind him as an option, but I'm jury's still out on him being a potential bolter when it comes to being a forward keeper. Let me just have a swig of water. The old quality H2O. Cheese, Jack, I'm thinking of holding Kirch, as I'm not looking great for round 14, but North are being so weird about... Yeah, exactly. I think they're being so weird because not even they know as to what the timeline's going to be. With a hotspot in your foot, and what is it, bone bruising, they don't want it to progress to a hairline fracture, which it can easily happen. So makes sort of no surprise that they're being this sort of vague on the timeline return. So if I was an owner, I'd be very, very weary about that. That's the only thing. If you're holding him, it reminds me of, Clary last year, where everyone was like, hold him, hold him, hold him. And then, his timeline was still thrown up in the air, left, right, and centre, different timelines. It was shit. Whereas if you hold Kirch up until round 13, you've lost potentially from now until then 3 weeks worth of stuff when it comes to downgrading to potential cash cows, upgrading to primos and stuff, using Kircher as a bit of a springboard, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a bit annoying, that's for sure. Cup, thanks for joining us, mate. Unsure between these two options. Wilson and Graham to Heaney and Richards, but stuck with Jones and Ewan as forward bench, which isn't ideal, obviously, especially with the buys. And Wilson and Jones or Ewan for Richards and Fisher. Ooh. Presumably that gives you a little bit of cash in the bank as well, Cup, with the second option. I'd be going for that. I'm a big fan of getting rid of at least some. If you're struggling with coverage on the bench across the buys, I'm a fan of at least getting rid of one of those guys. What's Ewan priced at? 174. Yeah, you can probably get rid of Jones, I reckon. Because he's not going to be back, we know for sure, 6 to 8 through injury. Ewan may be back into the team if Toby Pink has a bit of a shit one. And Fish, yeah, can take a little bit of fly. At least you'll be able to make a little bit of money with Fisher, potentially use him as a bit of a springboard to a better priced player down the line. But again, as well, have a look at your buy structure, because that's the main thing that will guide you. Heaney's obviously an uber forward. What's his break even? And he's a must-have. Break even 122. Yeah. Depends when you can grab Heaney. You could potentially then go Fisher up to Heaney as another avenue after his buy. I don't know. Ian dropped in. Does anyone... No, we don't, mate. Have a look. I think they've said they're hoping till after their buy, which could be, round 13 ideally. But I think that it'll be longer than that. I reckon they'll try and be conservative with him. They're not going to rush him back. Slim, how are you, mates? Hey, Damo, boys and girls. Just popping in to say good luck and how blessed are we to get a glimpse of that elusive creator in Liam. 100%. It was a pleasure to have him back, as you saw. The banter was top notch. Check it out. The first 6 minutes, as Adam can attest to, Adam Nemeth as well, on our Discord, we had a bit of fun. We're talking about Ben Ronk, and yeah, did a little bit of a skit with him, saying this is his life, because that's virtually what the 6 minutes of the episode felt like. It was this is your life, dedicated to Ronk. But yeah, great to have him back, mate. And you'll have him over the next couple of weeks. If you've joined us late, Slim, I'm heading to the US for work the 31st of May, and I won't be back on the 15th until the 15th of June. So won't be available, unfortunately. So Liam will be guiding the ship there on. Footy refined. Hopefully, mate, he could blow up his break even this week. Houston had a big round last week. What were you referencing there? I can't recall. I think you're talking about Houston in general, but yeah, I'd be going for Houston if you haven't got him. Nice little upgrade. C. Dracus, if it was worth trading one of Newen or Darcy Jones to Richards, my thinking is trade Darcy versus Swans and hold Wilson to next. Yeah. I don't mind that as well, mate. I think Wilson will probably hold his price, or if not drop just a little bit. So yeah, especially if it helps with your upgrade cadence, getting into that rhythm. You know, if you traded Darcy Jones down to Richards, that's going to give you, sitting at 59k. So that's handy in itself. It's going to give you a rookie, a cash cow that's going to have really nice job security and make us some nice cash and coverage across the buys as well. So 100%, mate. Michikos, leak a chance now. Just check GWS injury report. It's a calf, 2 to 3 weeks. He's named off on field. Yep, 100%, mate. Jack Bluchar meant he would struggle against the Swans, not the Suns. Yes. Yep. No, I got you, mate. Cheese, you nervous about missing out on Real this week? No, I'll finish my midfield, mate. It's fully constructed now. So I know obviously Real faces my team in the baggers this weekend. I am guessing you're alluding to. But yeah, my heart would be torn if I was owning him. Baggers first and foremost, 100% as always. Jack, who's your VCC this week? Currently have VC Sarong and Butters. Feel like Bont could go big tonight. I don't think he will, personally. A little bit worried about... Let's get rid of these buys here. A little bit worried about James Jordan. He could go to Ed Richards. He could go to Dale in defence, maybe. Who knows? But in terms of those that I'm looking at, as you can see here, actually with Garcia... that might afford me, actually, to have a late loophole. So it might be a blessing in disguise. Where are we? Round 11. Yes, that's going to serve me well, actually. So what I might do, I was originally going to go for Butters into Merritt because I didn't have a late loophole, but with Hugo Garcia not playing, I might go Merritt, who's my top option this week, into Maxi Gawn, who's my second favourite option. Butters is my third against North. I'll go through this. I tweeted about Gawn. Let me just bring it up. Let me bring it up so I don't have to roll through it again on DFS Australia. Where are we? So I'm just pulling up on another tab. And you'll be able to share these. So let's just go down here. Yesterday, I tweeted out. Sorry, it was a reply. I was replying to Yena, who wrote an article for. Jeez, where is it? Was it deleted? Oh, wait, it's my own. I'm a bloody idiot. It was my own... let's just have a look at my Twitter. Replies. Yeah, so I wrote this article here about top VCNC picks for Honeyball. And I said, you've missed one, mate, in Gawn. And as you can see here, so the games prior to his, 2 games most recently gone against St Kilda where he scored 80, he scored 137, 135, 126, 133, 127, 145 and 128. That is no gag. And the form of those previous ruckmen against Marshall in his past 4 games, Jackson scored 144 on the weekend. His average for the season is 104.7. Meek scored a 125. His average is 105.6 for the season. Cherry, 133, scored against Marshall. His season average, 106.9. And English scored a 114. And his average for the season is 111.7. So, Gawn's previous form and the fact that Marshall's giving up the most points, and I'm talking about the most points, it's almost, 2/3 more than the next best team that's conceding to opposition rucks. It's a no-brainer for me, I think, but it's just a bit of a pity that Gawn plays late in the round. Where are we? Let me go back to my team. But apart from that, Merritt as well. We'll go through him. Where is it? So he scored 102, 150 and a 162 in his past 3. And, of course, let me go to DFS Australia to show you the defense V position and the last 5. And Richmond are giving up the what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4th most points to opposition midfielders. And this will only show you the fantasy points conceded to opposition mids. But I'll bring up our where are we? The run sheet that Liam and I had for this week's episode, because we wrote down some stats which you would have heard us talk about Merritt with, and why he's such a good VC or C option. Let me go down and pulling up my notes. So with Merritt, or is it up the top? There we go. So this is the form line for top line midfielders against Richmond in recent times. Butters has scored a 175, Steele 142, Heaney 148, Sarong 137, Bont 135, Treloar 153, and Neal 162. So they haven't just gone big, they've gone massive. So that in combination with Merritt's recent form against the Tigs, and the fact that they're so obliterated, they've got so many injuries, they're not going to tag. They even played McAuliffe on Neal last week. I think they'll probably do the same with Merritt. He's going to have an absolute blinder. So he is my top VC option. Into Gawn as the C. Outside of that, I do like Butters. I like Ryan against Collingwood as well. Concede quite a few points to defenders, which, as you can see here, designated kickers. They give up the 3rd most points to opposition defenders, and so on and so forth. But let me know who you are going with this week. Slim, and please tell me, why do you attach the ding ding to 69? So what it is virtually, when it first came up as a thing, and we had bulk references to 69, obviously 69, dinner for 2, as we know. And every time it came up, it was like, I didn't have any sound effects on me, so I was just doing the ding ding, like another one, like counter type thing. So it's virtually like a sound effect to count the number of times that we hear 69 come up. So it's a bit of a ding ding, dinner for 2 type thing. Or, like at a restaurant, you've ordered something, ding ding, food's up, that sort of thing. So yeah, bit of a gag, and the fact that we don't have to say dinner for 2 every single time, despite the fact we've done that deliberately, so we don't have to say dinner for 2, and it's a bit on the nose to some people as well. Mature, I guess not mature. It's for those people that are tuning in, not of mature audience. But we had someone leave a review, which I'll flash up in a moment, from an older lady who said that it's not palatable, not acceptable in their household. So she gave us a low podcast rating, which I thought was a bit rough off the back of that, considering it's all a bit of fun. And our entire setup here is just literally gags left, right, and center. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and we hope that our audience don't do that either, but obviously there are some people that don't like it. But hopefully that makes sense, Lee. Footy refined, are you still? Yeah, 100%, mate. I'm not giving up SuperCoach. No way. Obviously, the time zone's going to stuff things up because we're going to Dallas for 3 days, then we go to New York for the remaining 11 days. So, yeah, time zones might stuff things up, but I'll be all across the teams as they drop. But it's going to be a little bit hard because Thursday games are going to be an absolute pain in the ass. So we'll see how we go. I'll have to set timers and stuff and everything on my phone. Footy Refine, you were talking about how you're trading Stewart to Houston, but what if Houston's at 650 because he blows up his price? If that's the case, mate, I'm just going to have to down trade upgrade, which is what I'm doing next week anyway. Going Jones down to Livingston, that's going to give me 80k plus the 34. That's going to give me 114k in the bank. And then obviously do another downgrade across the journey as well. Probably trade a Closey, as you can see there, he's priced at 320. I can trade him down to a rookie as well. That's going to give me about 200k as well. On top of that, 300k in the bank. I'll be totally fine. Don't worry, I've got it all planned. Aussie, what are your thoughts on this trade out? Dempsey and Closey. Sorry, I'm sharing the wrong tab there. Should be showing my team. What are your thoughts on this trade out? Dempsey and Closey to Rowell and Richards. Like that. That's a really nice trade. Or Wilson and a dead rookie, Graham or Garcia, Terrell and Richards. So same ins, different outs. I'd be going for getting rid of a dead rookie if possible. I'd be going for Graham, getting rid of Graham in that case. I'd hold Garcia because he's at a lower price point. You'll get more money by trading Graham. Graham didn't play VFL on the weekend because the Suns VFL team had a bye, so it's going to be hard for him to make his way back into the team unless they have injuries this weekend, the Suns. So yeah, I like your second option because it preserves having some extra cover in Dempsey and Closey on the bench across the bye period. Luke, thoughts on getting Houston, Zorko, and either Richards or Revel and having 8k left? Yep, that sounds good to me, mate. Like that, 100%. Cheese, Dawson over Walsh looks good for me, yet still to outscore him. Guess Walsh can't handle the big lights. Yeah, get out of here, Cheesy. Taking the absolute mick. Yeah, it was hard with, whatchamacallit, the old pest for the Swans, wearing Walshy like a blanket. Dawson, I don't think, it's much of a muchness. I was thinking about going for Dawson, but I didn't think he was going to be a top 8 mid. Walshy, I took a flyer on. Doesn't work out, that's fine. I'll sideways him at some stage if need be. But first, I want to get these rookies off field. That's the main thing. So as long as Walshy can stick around, turning up at the very least, I'll be happy enough. He'll turn it around, don't worry. Especially when Cherry's back. Would you feel Closey or Revel this week? So Carlton, do they give up? Let's have a look at the DFS Australia. So Carlton have a negative correlation to wing defenders. Revel, he's more of a wing as well. Brizzy are playing Hawthorn. The Hawks, there you go. The Hawks give up the second most points to wing defenders. So I'd be going for Revel over Closey just based on matchup. But who knows with Closey, he's had quite a few spike games as well, so it's hard to say definitively. But if it were me, I'd probably go with Revel. But yeah, hopefully you have any loopholes that you can potentially loophole if need be. And get a bit of a screener on either of those scores. Jack, we might actually wrap this up very, very shortly as well. What have we got? 21 minutes until the game kicks off. So we might wrap this up. Jack Blucher, I think you've convinced me with Gordon C. Now, I still like Sarong against the Pies. Yeah, I do like Sarong as well. Sorry, I missed Sarong. Because the Pies, they do have a negative correlation to opposition mids, but I do like him, Sarong. He's in good form. If I had Merritt, and they're undermanned as well, the Pies have got quite a few injuries, but if I had Merritt, I would definitely have his VC, 100%, mate. Jonas, it should be Ding Dong for the 69, but Ding Dong, maybe. Sounds like a doorbell. Footy Refined, you better hit your captain. I doubt you will be watching VC, especially on the same day. You're talking about my team. Yeah, well, if I go for Gorn as my C, and as you can see there, and Merritt as my VC, I'll be sorted. And go down that route. Jack, I live overseas in Norway, so I have always to make sure the times align before lockout. Usually good though on weekends. I'll wake up and watch the footy. Oh, very good, Jack. Thank you. You're giving me a little bit of confidence there. I assume you have it all down pat as well, and you don't need alarms and stuff, which I'll probably have to put in my phone and just schedule in. But I won't be able to use loopholes and stuff like that. That's the one thing. Probably a good thing as well, because the buys don't really need to anyway. Crazy Fit, VC Green to Zeret, but I also like Butters. Yep, don't mind that. Green against Geelong, who they've been giving up quite a few points. The second most points to opposition mid, so I like that as a pick as well. Riser, best mid primo to bring in at the moment. I'd say Raul. Good value. Don't mind Clary also. Clary's very nice. But Green, if you haven't got Tom Green, get him in your team. Break even now of 71. He's dropped down in price because, of course, he had that injury-affected game of 5 in his price cycle, which now goes out of his price cycle after this week. So he should start going up in price. Now, this is the bottom price you're going to get Tom Green for. Get him in your team, 487.5. Chef's kiss, 100%. Who should I feel? Darcy, Randy Garcia, or Richards? No loop. Not a fan of Darcy. I know he's played well, but Sydney should probably negate them well. Riley Garcia. Yeah, Sydney's hard to match up against in the forward line. Maybe a Darcy, even though I don't think he's going to score as well. All those guys, I reckon, should probably score around a similar mark. So, flip a 3-sided coin, Jonas. Cheese, as a Carlton fan, do you think Walsh and Kennedy in there more for a more defensive midfield, or do you think Carlton are just having a down few weeks at the moment? I don't know what you mean there, Cheesy. It's just, I reckon it's hard without Chera being there. Obviously, a key cog being down, it exposes Walsh to tags. As we've seen, no one really bothers to tag Cripps now anyway, because he does his work at stoppages, whereas Walsh kind of is at the stoppage and around the ground, so it's easier to tag. Kennedy, I don't mind either, but he's a different mould to Chera. He's run and gun. Sorry, he's more of a bash and crash, whereas Chera's more of a run and gun around the ground like a Walshy. So, yeah, I don't know. I think they've had some tough matchups across the journey. They've, obviously played Collingwood. They've played Sydney, Melbourne, Geelong. So we're talking about some top tier teams there. So yeah, I mean, to come away with a couple of wins in that 4 or 5 week block is okay. Would have liked to have at least had 3 wins against those 5, but is what it is. So as long as they turn it around from now, I don't mind. But yeah, if they... It's very reminiscent to last year where they played Gold Coast and they played Essendon and whatnot and started to turn it around. So hopefully they can do the same as well. Bogues, Wilson and Graham to Houston and Fraser or Richards, or Graham and Jones to Fraser and Richards. I would try and get Houston in your team, mate. So I'd be going for Wilson and Graham to Houston and Richards personally. And then trade Graham next week if need be. Extra premier this week with second option, but it means can't loop in the forward line. First option means I can double upgrade. Oh, there you go. Yep. No good rooks next week, and I don't miss out on one of Fraser or Rich. Yep. Well, you've answered your question there. Like it, mate. Sorry, mate. Footy refined. Yeah. 100%. Sorry, you're referring to that this year. You better hit your captain. I doubt you will be watching. Yeah, 100%. I'll unless it's if it's a VC and C on the same day, there's no way I'll be able to do it. But if it's multiple days, might be able to be lucky. But yes, totally agree there, mate. A bit of a challenge thrown up to me. Bogues, first option is 62 in the bank. Second option, yep. Cheese, how much money do you recommend carrying over to keep a decent trade cadence? For me, I've found 100k to 115k, 120 has been very, very nice. It's served me well for the last 3 weeks at least to get in big dogs, even though I was down to 2 trades a week. Aussie, thanks for the input. Had one more quick question in your opinion. Who is the better trade in this week, Rail or Houston? I know they play different positions, but I just don't know. I'd be going for Rail. Better output, higher ceiling, and better value for money compared to Houston, who's only really had a couple of big games, whereas Real doesn't have to rely on bulk disposals. Contested game, and the fact that he loves a cuddle with tackles helps as well. So Real over Houston for me. Geez, sorry that last message made most sense. I meant Hewitt and Kennedy in there to have more defensive-minded midfield. Seems like them not in there have teams running all over you. At the moment, yeah, bit of that as well. Let's round things out with the last question before we sign off. Maverick, of course, with underscore in the middle. Hey, Damo, thoughts on Ed Richards? He looks a natural midfielder in the past month. Libba listed as 2 to 3 weeks yet. Otherwise, I just grab McGovern. I don't mind Ed Richards. Again, as we've seen with Libba in the team, he's still been able to play in that spot as well. McGovern is a top defender, but I'm expecting him to get injured at some way, shape, or form. Aside from McGovern, I'll be going for Houston, I think. Ed Richards is a pod like that as well, so if you need to make up ground, don't mind it. And then, yeah, maybe expect to punt Ed Richards again when he starts to regress once Libba returns. But who knows? He could continue on. Slim, good luck with your work trip, mate. Thank you. We will keep the home fires burning. I like that. If you've lost the top spot, to me, by the time you get back, you'll just blame Liam. Yeah, exactly. You're talking about our cash league, of course. Joe B, everyone's sleeping on Bonds as VC tonight. 150 plus incoming. Yeah, potentially. Maybe. But I'm just worried about that tag. That's the big thing with me and Levant. And he's been out of form, over the past last week anyway. He looked very, very underdone. Eked out that 93, but I'm not convinced. Scored 108, 101, and 131 in his past 3 against the Swans. Yeah, I wouldn't put him up there among the top options, but I reckon he'd probably be a bit of a pod. Footy Refine, and what are you talking about? We smashed you guys last year up the Dons going to the game. Yes, but we turned it around. That's the main thing. Whatever. I think you guys actually played us into form because it was then on that we actually turned things around and absolutely smashed it. So we'll see how we go. But, looking forward to that for sure, mate. Good rivalry. Liam, of course, being a Dons man. No love for Heaney VC. Not for me personally. Actually, Heaney might attract a bit of attention potentially from Ed Richards, I think I heard Bevo say. It was on Twitter earlier today. I saw that. So I'd be worried about Heaney in that respect. But potentially. He's an absolute gun, Heaney. So with that, ladies and gents, we have 13 minutes before the game kicks off. Hopefully your teams go well. We've been going for 125. Jeez, I need a bloody coffee and dinner, of course. I'm operating on no dinner. We've been going for an hour and 25 minutes. So this will be... this will be our last live stream because next Thursday I'm going to be packing my bags, getting ready to fly out the very next day on the 31st of May. So have enjoyed these live streams for the team sheet announcements, and hopefully you have likewise as well. But aside from that, ladies and gents, if you have any questions, of course, hit us up on Twitter or down below in the comments section. We will be able to get to you. A couple of quick ones. Should I trade or keep? I don't know, mate. We don't have a timeline, so it's hard to say. You could potentially trade him if he gets you in a nice primo like a Real or a Houston. I'd go for it. Otherwise, you might be able to hold him, but it's hard as well. Holding him across the buys, it means that you're holding an extra 0 or a red dot. It's hard to say. Richards, Sullivan, Parker going to be the sub for the Pies. I reckon Will Parker will be the sub. Hasn't played at senior level. Tight turnaround, category B rookie, and Richards playing a role. I don't think he'll be subbed off. Sullivan might be subbed off. Might necessarily be named as a sub, but he might be subbed off. Jonas. Yeah, well, as I said earlier, mate, it's hard for Liam because he works a 9 to 5, unlike me. Got my own business and work at home and everything, so a bit easier for me, especially with me handling all the productions for our weekly podcast and my team talk and everything. We'll see what Liam can help out with, but please don't hold it against him. Of course, he is much more... tight schedule compared to me, especially in recent weeks, as we know. Double dummy, North by next week, hoping Kirch back after that. Yeah, we'll see how things go with him. Joe B, thank you, mate. Really do appreciate it. Sam as well, likewise. Thanks for the stream. Enjoy the trip. Thank you. It's going to be a very, very, very tight trip. I know when I traveled with the boys in India, I was filming virtually all the time, and any downtime that I did have, I was cutting and editing. But at least this time around, we have another production hand to help out, so we'll double team it. Have a little bit of fun as well in the US, and just rack up the mileage and the gags, the laughs, everything with the boys. So they're great to travel with, and to travel and work, earn a bit of coin as well on the side is an absolute dream. So thank you, Sam. Yes, half joking, of course, Goat. I know you are always half joking. Actually, before I go, just for you, Jonas, we'll check out the, even though I did it on my my team talk, we'll check out the rankings for the leagues, of course. So where are we? Where is it? There it is. So, of course, yes, people have joined as well late. So we were at 8:11, now at 8:43. If you haven't joined our Open League, feel free to do so via that 123391 is the league code. Chev's Titans at the top as well. 4th spot overall, if you don't mind. Dow Never in 9th spot. Zora Killer, 14 spot. Skits Fits, 44. But 4th overall in our league, and Zorko Zorro's running us out for the top 5, as you can see there, the top 10. So all the very best to everyone there. I'm still ranked 93rd overall, so we'll see if I can make up any ground there, but going to be hard to do so. And with the cash leagues, of course, only concerns the 20-odd people in the cashy, but I am leading all comers here, ahead of Slims, who's in our chat at the moment, the live stream. Sloppy Joe, that is, of course, you, Jonas, Goat, Ben in 3rd spot, both on 6 wins. Timmy's Blues, 6 wins. Harley Reid, 6 wins. So the top 5, very, very tight. Tight like a toiger. Slims, of course, with that draw, which was against me, wasn't it? Means that we've got a little bit of separation. But that is the first cash league, and the second one, I'm in 3rd spot, and leading all comers is Zora Killer, of course, the team that is in 4th overall. I think it was Zora Killer? Oh no, he was, what is he? Sorry, 14th, I should say, not 4th. Still bloody good though. Tyrell's Hacks in 2nd spot. Big Bad Brisbane Bear in 4th, and as you can see here, rounding us out for the top 8 and below. Of course, Liam is having an absolute stinker. But anyway, ladies and gents, that is that. The game is about to kick us off in 8 minutes. So we'll just round us out here. Of course, Sam, yes, you've said thank you. Good, sir. Check it out. You won by 4 points in the Cash League. I know I was very, very lucky. Jonas, good to get one over you. Double dummy. Enjoy the trip, mate. Look forward to some funny stories on your return. There's good gags as well, like traveling to India with the boys last time, 100%. Last one, Aussie. What are your thoughts on Fraser versus Richards? Richards, 100%. Will play, has a better role, job security-wise, and Fraser I'm worried about with his long-term job security. With that, ladies and gents, we are done and dusted. Thank you again for tuning in. All the very best for tonight's game, for the remainder of the weekend, and thank you as well for our live stream. We won't have one next week or the following 2 weeks because, of course, as I said, I will be away in the US across that period. So all the very best, and Aussie, appreciate it. Appreciate you, mate. If you haven't given us a subscribe as yet, that would be absolutely fantastic. And likewise as well, head across to Spotify and to Apple Podcasts as well. If you can give us a rating, that'd be absolutely fantastic. On Spotify, I think we've gone past the milestone. Sorry, I'm delaying things here, but I just want to have a quick squeeze at this. We're at 75 ratings at the moment on Spotify and Apple iTunes. Actually, whilst we're here, we will read this out. Sorry, apologies. We want to do this. Share the screen because we do have a new review, of course, to offset this one here from Frio Girl, who said, not a bad show, but getting a bit over the constant ding ding and several times every episode and counting. It doesn't come across well in my house. So I'd prefer you stick to providing more SuperCoach content in general with less focus on yourselves. Well, can't really say 69 is anything to do with ourselves, but thank you, Frio Girl. You're quite welcome to tune out if it isn't your flavour. But the new Hardly Handy Ever, giving us a nice little review here. Surely in today's world, that sort of stuff is best left off a public forum and kept in your shed closet. The SuperCoach stuff along with Damo's team update is insightful. I'll give 5 stars for the SuperCoach content, but only giving you 69 for the ding ding content. Very good. Very, very good. There you go. Not into the ding ding ding-a-ling. That's a classic. Very, very classic. Thank you. Hardly Handy Ever. And feel free to jump on there, give us a review. Likewise on Spotify, and as you can see there's 75 ratings. Always good, just helps give some exposure to everyone else. But no worries at all, Aussie. Jonas, cheers mate, and Slim, Godspeed to you as well. All the very best, ladies and gents. Good luck for the weekend, and as I said, hit us up, Twitter, Facebook, everything else, and we'll be able to help you out there, as well as in the comment section below, and join our Discord. But with that, ladies and gents, we will catch you in the next one. Cheers.